Alex answer here. It would be August 15th in this time space reality. August 15th in the year 2018. Hope you're all doing well. Whatever time zone you're watching. Let me know what issues you may want to discuss. So, synchronous after the recent eclipse. So, we've seen a series of eclipses. And one thing to know about, you don't have to be deep into astrology. One thing to know about these eclipses is that they can bring dramatic change to our lives. And so, I'm going to share a few things. We're not doing it HD today, but we'll be doing some more live streams regardless of the YouTube monetization. So, we're just doing a simple stream today right off the laptop. Be sure to thumb up, share if you like, if other people may be into the content. Links down below. At the moment, this is 100% supported by the audience. This is 100% supported by the audience. So links down below for other ways to support. So have you noticed the synchronicities? And hello to everybody that's going to be coming to the live stream. So feel free to, if you want to, share in the live stream chat the weird things that you've seen after the recent partial eclipse. Because even if we're not watching the eclipse, it brings change to our world. Some of you saw I was pretty emotional exactly 1 year ago. I was super emotional. There's those videos of me talking about dealing with isolation, living off the grid. I've had to go through dark personal emotions and come out the other side. Some people might be watching me go through those dark, upsetting emotions without understanding what I'm going through. But yes, living full time in isolation off the grid can bring about a certain level of stress, especially when certain needs are being met, whether it be being a part of a tribe or whether it be having a mechanic. So let's talk about synchronicities. First of all, let's start with today. I had a flat tire 1 hour ago. So the issue with my car, because I just got back from the next town over, left at 6:12 in the morning. At the time, exactly how long it would take to drive into town, into that town, where I'm going to be getting hopefully some temp work next week starting on Monday. Everything's right on the car, folks, to get back and forth. 75 miles one way, 10-hour shifts. So I may be looking at 4 days. So it's like I'm trying to buy myself some time because the Colorado winter is coming. We had a very dry winter, very light snow last winter. So this winter, we'll probably have more snow. So this is the time to get busy. Think ahead. Winter's coming. So, hello, Sai. He says, portals, purple squirrels, and Elon Musk was a strange triple synchronicity that showed up prior to August 11th for me. So something else that I'll mention, getting back to the tire and the synchronicity. So there's a number of different things that I want to say, but we may go through certain periods in which you'll get more intuitive hits about something, as simple as just knowing that there's something wrong with your car or feeling that something's coming around the corner. Like I knew that there was a need to delete news clips, things of that nature, other things off my YouTube channel. And I started a process of it, but I didn't take it. So there's multiple times, folks, in which my intuition has been stronger than normal. And those cases, I may listen to it, I may not listen to it. The difficult thing about having those feelings, by the way, and why a person like me has a certain amount of stress with a certain amount of intuition, some of the things that I am intuitive about are dark days in America's future. So having like a sense of having a sense at times brings great headache and heartache and stress because we have to differentiate between what's real and what's not real. But I'm here to tell you that there's been a number of these God shots recently that I've experienced, and I'm here to share them with you. By the way, we have the door open here. Try to keep the doors shut. We have fresh air. We have natural sunlight. Maybe we'll do some videos outside at some point. I need to get a longer Ethernet. I don't use Wi-Fi here off the grid. It's all off the modem, all coming off the satellite. And YouTube's been throwing some of us off the bus. Positive thing is we can live stream at least. In the former rules, the way that it used to be, you couldn't even live stream. So they've shut down Super Chat, but that's okay. If you wanna support, that's fine. If you can't, hey, I'm glad you're here anyways. The show will continue. I think, though, with the dark days that we're in on YouTube, we need to lean more towards the Gnostic and the spiritual. And I already was talking about this last year. And some of the more flag topics need to go on other platforms. Okay. So people that want to stay up to date with some of those topics understand that certain things will now only be at outsidethebox.vhx.tv. So the synchronicity is that I followed my intuition to pull over when I knew that my car was going through those issues. It's bigger than the alignment, it's the tire rods. That's not a cheap repair. Steering fluid leaking. So I'm going over mountain passes, folks, to get to a place of work. I'm not making up when I say that I feel like I'm putting a little bit of my and I feel things will work out. I feel like there's a little bit of risk. I feel like the cars that will work out. I feel like there's a little bit of risk. I feel like the car is a death trap. I'm really nervous in it. So there is a goal, folks, for me to. I want to get through this first week at work, get that money, get something, but I don't know if the car is going to be able to keep running. YouTube said that it'll consider remonetizing in 30 days. Fingers crossed. I'm thinking about scaling the content from 3,300 videos down to about 2,000. At the very least, we're going to scale it down to about 2,500. We're just going to thin some of the fat. It doesn't mean that those interviews won't be ever available. And hello, Tyrone, in the major cities. Not a lot of New York viewers. Seems like we have more Midwest, European, and West Coast viewers. And also feel free to say hi if you're in Florida. I like the idea of within the Western world that we're able to reach, the idea of reaching kind of like a star, people at different points. So different levels of intelligence are coming in at different times that are absorbing this knowledge and also sharing some of their own. And so there are things that can happen to us that maybe are blessings in disguise. That's why I'm being strong throughout this whole thing. I've seen too much synchronicity, and I don't always finish a friggin' story. So I pull over because I realize I have a flat tire, and I just scream out the F word. And this girl comes up who is working at the gas station, and she seems different than others. Uh, like a little slow, but she was super nice. It was like she was like this guardian angel spirit that was like, "What's wrong?" She just like manifested like a angel behind me, like flat tire. My alignment's off. She's like, "Well, this guy is around the corner between towns," and it's like I do not like driving on these rural roads without GPS. And you guys know I don't have GPS or I don't have a cell phone. So I'm going off directions on my hand, a piece of paper. I got lost today looking for one work site, which I couldn't find because it was too deep into the rural areas. I just went back to the temp center and said, I'm just going to stay in the city for now. I want to get active, but I'm just going to stay in the city for now and wait for this warehouse gig. The issue with the car may be so serious that I may have to sleep in my car in that town. So when I go in Monday, I'm planning to, because I can't be buying a tire every week, and we're looking at 500 in repairs. The best case scenario or plan of action would probably be to save up money, say $1,000, and get a truck by this winter, and then continue to work throughout the winter. I want to avoid a repeat of 2 years of full-time hibernation. So yeah, I'm not happy with what's happened with the YouTube demonetization, but I noticed the synchronicities, the periods in which there's divine intervention, just like pulling over, following that inner gnosis. Pull over now. That gas station, this girl manifesting behind me, telling me to go talk to that guy over there. Right? They only take cash. I just happened to look at my glove box and see this $20 still there that I didn't realize that $8 in my glove box. I paid this guy $20. He's giving me back 5 for 15 to change out the tire. Synchronicity. Synchronicity. I mean, of all the places for my tire to go out, synchronicity. I think it was David Smith that asked about also, and I'll thank him for pledging an extra $10 this month. He said he'd had issues on Patreon, but others, and I think it was, is it Camille? I don't have the page up right now. I want to thank you for your pledge. Indigo Scout in the house during a live stream. Well, it's not just the millennials. You guys, I don't know. You've probably been around that. You've heard me rant about the Portland Preparedness Center dudes. They were kind of trying to take people for a ride in Portland. I helped these guys find their store. These guys were driving around Portland with GPS. Those weren't millennials. Those were cowboys. Those were cowboys. Yeah, real survivalists coming down from rural Washington. Start a marked up survival store using GPS to drive around Portland streets. Oh my God, dude. If someone needs GPS to drive around the inner streets of Portland, Maybe their little prepping should start with a map. So yeah, I don't know. I am feeling a little bit full before the YouTube demonetization because we're going to go deeper into this. I was having somewhat of a lot of stress, personal life stress yesterday morning, to a point where I'm personal life stress yesterday morning, to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a week off YouTube and then come back, hit it hard daily. And so when I got hit with that, when I got that memo, I was already involved in trying to move things forward in my own life. Visiting natural hot springs, visiting national parks. I've got hours and hours of video that I haven't even uploaded because I've been kind of trying to stay away from the computer. But I've got all this stuff and all these talks and all these topics. It's what I've been trying to do. And I felt the acceleration of the stress with regards to the YouTube demonetization fallout. The left right paradigm. Should I continue? A certain individual that I don't want to name, Mr. AJ, ooh, get my channel flagged again. How he's been used to demonize the independent media. So it's a number of different things that in many cases, only thing that helps is getting away from the computer, folks. And it's not even a full fix. I don't think that just living in nature and just being immersed in nature is something that I would want to do 100%, but we've got to be able to step back and just immerse ourselves in something pretty extreme, pretty extremely natural. Come back, continue discussing certain things. So there's a reason why. I think there's a comment, Alex, you would like New York City. I think that I would. But I also like living off the grid. And I think that there's ways that people can live off the grid a little more efficiently than they are in 2018, especially if we were to able to see an upgrade in the legal structure. So they stop decriminalizing or criminalizing living on your own land. So you look at the case, for example, in Costilla County. Now, I want to bring this up and be very careful what words I use to describe this. A situation happened recently in New Mexico. Um, the question is this something legitimate or is there something else going on behind the scenes? This compound in New Mexico. Notice how close this compound in New Mexico. Notice how close it was to Costilla County. Kind of interesting, knowing that Costilla County had other city individuals by the name of and other individuals. If you read some of the work from Kyle Reardon regarding the fake judges and things of that nature, then you'll be educated pretty quickly that off-gridders were infiltrated very recently in the last few years by individuals that we didn't know very much about. And I try to warn people about it because it felt like it was a government thing. You know what I'm saying? A government thing. Well, it seems that when it's a Caucasian that's blamed, people cry false, etc. But if it's someone else that doesn't fit into that box, many people believe that what they're reading is a legitimate story. So we have a situation in New Mexico that feeds into a certain narrative. Is it legitimate or are they plants? And then we saw the fake news take that story and then add things that didn't happen into that story. And again, I'm being very careful with my words. This could be the beginning of other similar events that a certain demographic of this country will believe are real events. And notice how what's happening with YouTube is happening now as that event takes place. Also, I want to thank you for pointing that out in the comment section. The only thing similar between this Alex and that Alex is that there's some conspiracy truths that are shared. And our names are both Alex. Beyond that, there's not much of a similarity. Now, if we were to reel the wheel back 2007, 8, and 9, you're looking at two guys that can co-host a show together. The Alex Jones and the Alex Ansary of the year 2007. That can literally maybe finish each other's on things overseas and the victims of war. Because clearly YouTube is not down with ongoing reporting unless it's Press TV or Al Jazeera. It's very unpopular to give updates now on what's happening in those occupied countries. And I'm sure you've noticed this. I'm sure you've also seen perhaps a massive reduction in people even citing things like victims of war. In fact, you might even come to your own conclusion, as I have, that many people don't even believe that there are victims of war, as we watch several people at the same time drop off the live stream. I'm starting to enjoy that. Every time I hit that button, people are like, oh, fuck this shit. Hit the back button. Someone shared their truth. And it's like sometimes I even feel it within my heart when that truth vibration's coming out. And I'll be saying that thing, and then whew, three gone at once. It almost feels good. It's like whew, purge. Because the unfortunate thing is when you deal with conspiratorial content, so many people now are on the fake side of things, the dark side of conspiracy theory, but they're not even looking at what's real. So, I mean, it's interesting. So I think there's a lot of synchronicities. David Smith was asking about deja vu in a live stream, and I didn't really have an answer at the moment for him, but then I started thinking about it. And deja vu, kind of like with the Matrix, seeing that, like the cat going by twice. We have those moments to where we notice those synchronicities, and who knows what it means, but there's going to be certain periods in which, and I'm speculating, our intuition is sped up. Our intuition is sped up. I don't know if you have a similar experience. I certainly have gone through it living at 8,000 feet where I am now. Just that sensation of waking up in the early morning hours, earlier than your body's ready to get up, but the mind beginning to awaken. And it's like it's not the same as a nightmare or a dream. It's like a waking knowing. It's like half asleep, half awake, but just having this information downloaded into you where you can just see it for what it is. And sometimes it is pretty dark. It's pretty disturbing, but it doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean that we're not meant to become awakened to that. And it could be something that brings us a certain amount of pain, something that may even provoke a little bit of fear, but we have to look deeper into that gnosis, into that which is shown to us. So there is something about those early morning hours, 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock. There's a reason why they cut people off at 2:30. I do believe that, from accessing the unlimited spirits, if you will. I've seen a lot of this in Portland, Oregon. Also been plenty of bars at 3 o'clock in the morning to see people kind of enjoy their after hours because, ooh, it's so taboo to drink after hours. But why? Spirits. And there are certain spirits that like to use humans like a remote control around bars, and I would say more so in certain cities, urban areas, or it can even be a rural area where there's just some shady history and it's not really clean. Those aren't areas where I would drink either. Places where there have been Native Americans slaughtered, things of that nature. So it does seem to be intentional. And it could be unintentional, but on a part, there does seem to be something intentional um, behind the prohibiting of certain substances, drinking after certain hours, but also intentional why it would be 24 hours consumption in certain areas or places. Vegas comes to mind, other places come to mind. All right, let me pause here and go to the comments. Hello, Donnie. So, continuing with the synchronicity, it's interesting because the day I lost my monetization, I had a very bad feeling, not about the YouTube channel, but about the negativity on the internet. It consumed the entirety of my day. I didn't actually get online and get that news till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the first half of the day, I'm responding like biologically, mind, body, and spirit, stress hormone response, other forms of trauma stress, things I don't need to get into here, but just a lot of things mounting and things like, right, certain celestial events can really bring that stuff to the surface. Some people, you're right, you're going to have an optimistic view of just the whole thing. It's the idea of out with the old, in with the new. And sometimes a few eggs are going to get crushed. Sometimes that's necessary for the omelet. But if we actually honestly look at how the left right divide has affected people, it's affected a lot of people in a adverse way, whether they be on the left or the right. This idea of never ending battle, division, plots, the future, worrying more about what we're going to do to each other than maybe larger things that affect us all, as a few drop off at the same time. And it's always like within a few seconds that they drop off at the same time. It's like, oh, Fuck this shit. Just like a ripple throughout the matrix. Whoa. Iron Maiden. I'm always about 265 pounds. That's 165. So when people say you've lost weight, those are perceptions over things like 1 to 4 pounds. Just in case you didn't. 1 to 4 pounds doesn't really seem significant to me. So this is like since I've been 17, 16, not that you've asked, I'm just kind of going in that direction. Since I've been about 16, I've been always within 5 pounds of 165 pounds, if any of you find that interesting. Never goes above 170, never drops really below 155. It's just always kind of within that range. There's going to be certain periods though in which we may be shedding though. We may be dropping. There may be reasons why we seem lighter. We could perceive other people. I've had this perception of other people being lighter. There's something lighter about that person. They don't. But we can also look at people during certain moments and feel like almost a heaviness. So yeah, what I've been doing recently is uprooting myself from being here full time, which is, you know, it's not exactly paradise, but it's better than being in the big city. And working isn't necessarily fun. It's more about, we're going to talk about this in their videos, working for the right people, right? So I rather shovel dog fecal matter, right, for 12 hours with only a few breaks, rather than be someone's BITCH. And so many of the people, like local businesses, restaurants, hire really cruel managers because they believe that's how it's done. And I've actually considered writing a newsletter for local businesses because, and we're getting off topic. It's not a matter of whether people want to work or not, because, and we're getting off topic. It's not a matter of whether people want to work or not. It's whether or not they're hiring people that are qualified to be managers. And so we do live in a food service industry and a matrix to where dominators, sociopathic personality types are usually the ones placed in those particular positions. A certain amount of the population has a difficult time dealing with slave master personalities. I'm one of them. I'm one of them. But if somebody treats me right or treats you right, that's the person that's worth us breaking our back for. There are people out there even worth working for free for. You know what's missing? Humanity. You know what we have too much of? Slavery and slavery frequency. People literally worship the concept of slavery. This is also why when you see some people that are able to build their own channel or build their own business, especially in today's day and age with the internet, it actually provokes real anger and jealousy. Of course, you never thought about this. I'm sure many of you have. And so one of the ways in which we're consumed by negative energy is three left at the same time. Just boop, 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 ripple. Oh, then a few joined. You see, it's always something new. And there are people coming and going. But just to reiterate, we definitely need to continue to see the purge of those that are stuck in the left right paradigm. I'm not really hearing from people stuck on the left. It's usually just on the far, far right. But lately, there's been something blossoming and growing. And I'm noticing it in the comment sections. and the depth of the thought a little bit more refined than maybe some of the comments that were left 12 months ago or 20 periods in which maybe the English that we're typing is totally broken. There's also people that are across the planet that are also engaging with our platforms. There's another reason why we're dealing with broken English in some cases from some of the trolls. So it's really important to keep this all in context, right? There's going to be periods in which we're sharper, and there's going to be periods in which we may miss a few things. And see, but the ego mind that's always trying to like prop us up to be number one, we're better than everybody. That mindset isn't able to look at oneself self-critically. So we have to be able to step back in the observer mode in relation to looking at these things. So bring this back to center, right? I'd say out of the 15,000 subscribers, probably about 1,000 should unsubscribe right now. Out of the 15,000, I'd say probably 1,000 should just hit the unsub button. And in return, about 5,000 people should hit the sub button or start watching the live stream as a few people bounce out because they hear something that their cerebral cortex cannot allow to be inputted, right? That's the affirmation that we need because there are people out there looking for an alternative. And so, for those of you that support the truth and support going outside the left right paradigm, you need to step up the plate with being louder than those that are in the left right paradigm. Doesn't matter whose comment section it is, doesn't matter whether it's on Facebook. You need to start coming out of the closet in a more direct way with a group. And there's now more people that are stepping out of the left right paradigm, right? And they're not going to be bullied based on who they like in office and who they don't like. They associate with being an individual. And there are people out there that say if someone says that their political position is human, they're a bad person because they didn't pick a side. There are people that literally say that. Screw those people. Let them do whatever they are doing to themselves and their community. One of the greatest pieces of wisdom is that there's certain people that we cannot help. And the very fact that we are trying to help other people make targets out of some of us. So, with regards to the idea of true targeted individualism versus psychosis, man, it's one thing to actually walk through it and know what it's like. And it's another experience to try to work with people online and help them understand where their own attacks are coming from, their own negative thoughts. And a lot of them cannot be helped until they help themselves with their psychic attacks. They have to be able to take constructive criticism. Okay. Okay. So you believe you're a targeted individual. Okay. Are you deep in the left right paradigm? Mark the box. Yes or no. Here's Dr. Ansari's piece of paper. Please fill out the paperwork and I'll get with you in about 5 minutes. Now we'll look over the chart, right? We'll look at your chart. Okay, you say you're a targeted individual. Do you believe this? Do you believe that? Are you sensitive to this? Here's a question for you. If you believe you're being targeted by the government, why so stubborn in the belief system that it's human sourced, that it's the government? Why not assume there may be something else going on within this matrix? Why assume that we're alone in the universe? It's just a question. So, with a lot of the people that are out there, they're suffering from that deep level of psychosis. There's a team of 50 operatives that are inside their house and they're doing things and stuff. Until they're actually ready to look for the truth, they cannot be helped. And you'll often notice with those that are target individuals that actually don't get therapy or self healing, that they end up in some of these extreme ideologies because it's part of the targeting. Certain psychoses that go along with that. The madness of mobs, they get caught up in the left right paradigm. They start going to protests and taking sides, for example. So, all different types of things happen to those that are targeted at a level where they don't know that they're targeted and their thoughts in some cases are not their own. And so if you look closely at, for example, the violence in Portland, Oregon, you might see people that are identifying, hey, I'm left. Hey, I'm right. But just forget those logos, forget that American flags. Now I'm waiting for another three people to, for example, the violence in Portland, Oregon. You might see people that are identifying, hey, I'm left. Hey, I'm right. But just forget those logos, forget that American flags. Now I'm waiting for another three people to drop off the live stream as they get offended. Snowflake moment coming. There's not much different from those people on the left and the right in Portland, Oregon. There's not much difference. There is some purported difference in their beliefs and stances on issues. But if they both believe that groupthink and then clashing in the streets is how you actually deal with improving society, you're not dealing with the left versus the right. You're dealing with the same society that's picked its flavor of cola. Yeah. Mainstream leftists and mainstream rightists wholesale blame the other side for our country's problems without going, maybe there's a little bit of this and that. Maybe Trump isn't entirely this or that, and there's a little bit of this and that. And maybe we can come to a similar understanding about other individuals, but ultimately they're all a part of the system. We can come to a similar understanding about other individuals, but ultimately they're all a part of the system. They may have different elements of a little bit of this and that. And maybe we can come to a similar understanding about other individuals, but ultimately they're all a part of the system. They may have different elements of how they present themselves, right, to the public, to the tribe, but it's really the same system. And so it's been in recent years that you're hearing from the mainstream rightist. That's all the left. And it's in recent years that you're hearing from the main. And it's in recent years that you're hearing from the mainstream leftist. That's all the right. From the right, it's all the left. From the left, it's all the right. And what we need is to reach out to those people that are on the internet that are looking for independent ideas and to share those. And what I need is from those more of those people that actually want that content to find this channel. Because again, there is too much of that creeper left right paradigm that's like hovering around this channel. Individuals that think they're friendly, but they're in the left right paradigm. And that goes absolutely contrary to us actually having a conversation at the table about the issues that matter. So it could be argued that it's too late on the national level to affect any change. The only real change that we can affect and should be trying to affect is at the local level or in our own personal lives or in our hearts. And I'll tell you what, that becomes even more real when we have grid failures and grid disruptions and things of that nature. So the obsession with national politics can be compared to a possession like something from the movie The Exorcist. Okay. Should I say that again? Was I unclear? Am I stuttering? The obsession with politics and whether someone likes someone or doesn't like someone is akin, according to Alex Answer, you can quote me, with archonic possession or demonic possession, especially when people just make fake news out of the whole thing and they purport to be freedom lovers. Heaven forbid, patriots. Yeah, that would be P-A-Y, triots. Patriots, patriots. So there's just been a lot of different synchronicities going on. There is a platform to spout off his nonsense. I'm paraphrasing. Okay. That's a leftist to me. If it was someone on the right, they would be inserting words like libtard, SJW, dual citizenship, all different type, pro neocon agenda. Talking points. Talking points. So yeah. Also, when we're talking about freedoms and liberty, we're not really getting into politics. When we're talking about freedoms and liberty, we're talking about humanity. And so when we're talking about modern events and people say, well, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I don't pay attention to politics. What they're really saying is, I don't pay attention to things that are currently going on in the world. What they're really saying is, I use a word called politics, and to say I'm not into politics, to put out a generic statement that I don't follow what's going on in the world, or people being persecuted, or people being targeted, or what's going on with the real fake news on the websites that hardly anybody in the alternative media is talking about. And so as I meet people, and I've had a lot of conversations in person with so-called normies in the last 48 hours, more than you will ever know. And you won't know on YouTube. What I'm actually going to be talking about on VHX. For those 21 people that did sign up for $5.95 per month. Hey, folks, you can go to a glorified McDonald's and pay $6.47 for a burger that I watched a family finish in 1 minute. All I'm asking you, the audience, is to see me as worth that 1 minute burger. And I know enough of you do. And I appreciate those of you that have signed up. So I want to take requests from some of the more controversial content, because as I talked about earlier, there is a chance that my channel can be monetized in the future. But in order to do that, there's going to be a need to delete a lot of videos, including any videos that may have had exit music or bumper music. For those that remember that I used to do a TV show in Portland, I had bumper music that would come in and out or at the very end of the show. I'm Alex Hanser, reminding you the path to ultimate truth still lies within. Cue Metallica for Who the Bell Tolls. You know what I mean? Don't tread on me. And so there's like hundreds of videos just like that, and others, videos I've mirrored of violent protests. People get angry on the left and the right when you show what's happening in Portland. Both the left and the right have attacked my channel. And I think it's time that you all really heard this loud and clear. More people on the left. The guy Cameron had a channel pull down or a video pull down. Robert West had a video pull down. Others create some interference and then some activity from the right. So both the left and the right have showed disdain for the commentary that I have directed at the Portland, Oregon area. Bill Gorman is in the house. I'm living in the past, finding ancient stories in stone is very. I think the demonetization problem, and Bill, we'll talk offline, because next year I'd like to do more traveling. And we got to protect your privacy too, buddy. We got some real interesting folks that watch this channel. Keep that in mind, Bill. Beautiful things in Colorado and ruins in off grid areas. But it's not for everyone. The San Luis Valley is not for everyone. And not everybody knows that. I do want to hear from people that are in other places in Colorado, Crestone, spiritual communities, if you're involved with woofing, if you're involved with any form of community activism. And there's going to be things happening in the future. And I'm actually open to hearing about different political campaigns, be they on the left and the right, just to hear from them, especially if they're grassroots. So if they're a legit, especially if they're grassroots. So if they're a legitimate grassroots Republican or Democrat, I would be interested in hearing about their issues. Because if they're truly grassroots as one or the other or an independent, then there may be some legitimate issues that they're raising about their local community that has nothing to do with food stamps, nothing to do with Donald Trump, nothing to do with immigration, and has everything to do with how they're going to improve their local economy. And in that case, why does Democrat or Republican matter? When it comes down to local politics, hey, I think people need to forget that national crap. Because if people keep polluting their mind with that national crap, man, now we just had 4 people drop out in 10 seconds. That was a special button I scratched. That would be 5. Can we get a 6? That would be a scratch. That would be a special itch that I scratched, going beyond Democrat, Republican. So, folks, it's like this is the number one elephant in the room, that we can't even get independents to meet 2 or more in actual physical place. Everything is digital now. So it's fine that we have this digital community, but keep in mind, right, the challenges that come with you losing your online tribe when major hosts or channels go down. This is why you should always sign up to the newsletter of anyone that you follow. If you have the financial means, you should support on Patreon, right? If you eat a burger a day, eat half of it like most people, and throw the other half over your shoulder, make sure the homeless guy can't get it by throwing it way over him, that type of thing, then yeah, bro, hook it up for 24 cents a day. You can support this channel, or is it 19 cents a day? Act like I'm some starving child in Africa. For 19 cents a day, folks, you can keep outside the bunks alive. And I think some of you have yet to find it in your heart to find that value in this content. You watch it, you consume it, but it's not worth the simplest of contribution. Reconsider that belief system. That's what I ask of you. Reconsider the belief system. I mean, there are people that have been watching me for years that don't believe that this channel is worth supporting. This I do not understand. Now, what I do understand is a bunch of people living homeless in cars. That Alex Ansary understands. The question is, are all of you homeless living in cars? Let's check out the comment section. Government is mafia. Mind control for the thoughtless masses. And I just want to say one more thing to our friend in the San Luis Valley. It's a miracle that you've been able to do some of the wonderful things that you're doing, and you want to cherish that. And if you're new to sharing the stuff on the internet, beware. Some of your discoveries, beware. The world of the hater is growing. The world of the hater is beyond hating those that don't believe what people believe politically. It extends to those that live off the grid, that work for themselves, that are looking into nature, that are looking into rocks, that are trying to interpret rock art. Like there's like this hate of nature that's like mainstream. And so I'm still shocked by it. I'm still shocked by the fact that I meet people that work so hard to move from the South and move from the West Coast and East Coast to this natural part of Colorado, but they're very many of them are very anti-nature or anti-recycling or anti-certain types of humans. They're not really natural, or that which appreciates that which came from the creator, which is a deep connection to nature, to be above the left-right paradigm, to be above the illusions of separation. That's to actually have a deeper connection to nature and the creator. So I'm going to take a break, but I'm going to wrap up my thoughts here. It's been difficult to get an affordable mechanic in this area. And so I'm taking some risk driving 75 miles one way to get some work. So next week's going to be a big week for me. And driving over a mountain pass, um, working 10-hour shifts, possibly sleeping in my vehicle. Because the problem that I have with my tire, it's blowing out a tire. It could blow out a tire at a rate of once per every few weeks at some point soon. And I don't have 500 to do all the tire rod replacements. So there may be an exclusive Alex Ansary series. Alex is living in his vehicle again, simply to find work 75 miles away from where I live just to make the land payment. And so I'm going to enjoy bringing that to you and all the different things that go into that. I don't think there's a lot of YouTube channels that get into all the different things that I get into and have recorded the different places that they've gone and the challenges that they've faced. There's a lot of people that put up a front or an image of having money in and all together. And there's a lot of people out there that like to financially support a guy that already has money. That's why you can see Patreons out there with thousands of dollars going to a single person who's just talking like one political talking point. But she built a niche. Folks, I'm struggling to just get it above 100 a month in collective audience support. So reconsider whether you value or not value this channel and why. I want to thank you, Indigo Scout, for being there. I want to thank you, Bill. And again, be careful out there, Bill, because we are seeing a purge of off-gridders where you are. And that scares me. And I don't want anyone that is good like you that I've met to be harmed. And just be really aware. Be very careful. Be very careful out there in the SLV. All right, you guys, we'll see you later.